Welcome again to this channel. My name is Mwalimu Jeff Bama, MJB. We are going to continue getting updates on CBE development. First, let's remind ourselves on the CBE structure. The structure of CBC or CBE from the lowest grade to the uppermost level in terms of this particular curriculum. We have to understand that CBE begins with the PP1 or from PP1 all the way up to tertiary level of education, that is tertiary and university. So we have to understand that from PP1 up to PP2, those two classes mark what we call the preschool. So the learner is supposed to begin their PP1 education when they are of 4 years old. At age 4, the learner should begin PP1. And when they proceed to PP2, they should be 5 years of age. Then after that, the learner moves to grade 1. At grade 1, the learner is supposed to have 6 years of age, and at grade 2, the learner is supposed to have 7 years of age. Grade 3, the learner is supposed to have 8 years of age. At grade 4, the learner should have 9 years of age. Grade 5, the learner should have 10 years of age. And at grade 6, the learner should be 11 years in age. Grade 7, the learner should be 12 years in age. And grade 8, the learner should be 13 years of age. And at grade 9, the learner that is in grade 9 should be 14 years old. When they move to senior school, that is to grade 10, the learner should be 15 years of age. When they move to grade 12, before grade 12, when they move to grade 11, the learner should be 16 years. And grade 12 learners should be having 17 years. They should be 17 years of age. So the learners should understand this, as well as their parents, that when these requirements are asked for, they should look at the age limit that they should be having per grade. We should also understand that from PP1 to grade 3, remember, that one marks what we call early years of education. Early years of education begins from PP1 all the way to grade 3. That is what we call early years of education. Because grade 1, 2, and 3 is lower primary. LP, lower primary. That is grade 1, 2, and 3. But as I told you earlier, the PP1 and PP2 is preschool, which is managed by the county governments. And in the old model, it was called the ECDE. But now in CBC or CBE, it is the preschool. Then from grade 4 up to grade 6, grade 4 up to grade 6 marks what we call upper primary. And then from grade 7 up to grade 9, we have what we call the junior school. Now, before a learner moves to all the way to junior school, at where they have the early years of education, there is an assessment that is given at grade 3 that we call KEA. That is Kenya Early Years Assessment. Kenya Early Years Assessment is administered at grade 3. That is where this assessment, it's a national assessment. It is administered at that level to prepare learners for upper primary. Because all the way from PP1 to grade 3, they do only that one assessment, which is known as KEA, the Kenya Early Years Assessment, which prepares learners for upper primary that begins at grade 4. After grade 4, 5, at grade 6, learners also do what we call KIPSEA. KIPSEA, which means Kenya Primary School Education Assessment. That one is also done at grade 6 as a national assessment that prepares learners for junior school. After they have done that, they will move to junior school at grade 7. At grade 7, 8, and 9, there is an assessment which is offered or administered at grade 9 that is known as KIDSEA. KIDSEA, which means the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, which prepares learners for senior school. This national assessment is offered at grade 9, where learners do it to also prepare themselves to move to grade 10, which is at senior school. So we also need to understand that from grade 4, that is upper primary, from grade 4 all the way to grade 9, it marks what we call middle school. It is called middle school. So middle school begins from grade 4 up to grade 9. So after middle school, learners are expected to move to senior school. And when they move to senior school, they will be able to choose pathways. After they have chosen their pathways, if it is arts and sports science pathway, social sciences pathway, or STEM pathway, after a learner has chosen a pathway, they will pursue their pathways up to grade 12. That is grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. Those are 3 years. And that particular level is what is referred to as senior school. At grade 12, to summarize or to sum up senior school, learners will be able to do an assessment, which is a national assessment that will be administered in grade 12. And this national assessment is referred to as KCBE. KCBE, which means Kenya Certificate of Basic Education. So at grade 12 is what marks the end of basic education. And remember, all the way from PP1 to grade 12, it is referred to as basic education. So to mark the end of basic education at grade 12, they will do an assessment, a national assessment that is referred to as KCBE, Kenya Certificate of Basic Education. And that will be the only certificate that learners will ever receive, because when they do KIPSEA as grade 6, they only get the results, the result slip. At grade 9 after KIPSEA, it's also a result report or a result slip. Finally, at grade 12, they will be able to receive their first certificate, which will also enable them to transition to tertiary education. And after grade 12, there is tertiary education or university education that will take 3 years. After 3 years of tertiary education, they will go to the world of work. Remember, learners can also go straight from grade 12 to the world of work, depending on their ability and their plans in life. However, those who will transition to tertiary education will take 3 years in their tertiary education, after which they will graduate and join what we call the world of work. So this is the simple understanding of the CBE structure that begins from PP1 all the way to tertiary education. We should have an understanding of these basic levels, the CBC learning levels, as well as the grades and the age that learners should have from PP1 all the way to grade 12. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. For more updates about CBE development and uh, everything else in regards to CBC or CBE, you can subscribe to this channel as well as comment and ask questions regarding the CBE education. Thank you.